Hello and welcome to the Tradie Business School podcast, the best and only trades podcast that you need to grow a profitable trades business that can actually work without you. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Adam Spencer. My name is Barry Will-Magadidi. How you doing today, mate?
I am sensational, mate. Thank you very much for your inquiry.
Yeah, so you should be, because this episode's all about you.
Oh, come on now. It's not just
actually this is all about you. So look, we've recorded a couple of episodes together and shared that you've joined TGC, and I guess in Tradie Business School, I guess I wanted to kind of record a bit of an episode to share a bit to the listeners, to the viewers today, like who you are, what you're about, I guess why you're even here. So I'd love to know, tell us a bit about your background, because you're not just Santa Claus in disguise, right?
No, I'm Santa Claus' younger brother, because I haven't gone white yet. So I'm one of Santa's little helpers. But no, look, it's great to be on the podcast and being able to talk about myself. Everybody likes to talk about themselves. Well, most people do. My history, I guess why I'm here is similar reason to you. You know, I've walked a long, dark path at times, and the journey to be here, to just be passionate about helping people, trying to get them tools and techniques and ways to navigate the brutal world of business. You know, I'd like to say it's not, but it is, and it certainly can be. It's not always the case, and there comes a point where you learn enough and you get punched in the face enough to know when to duck and cover. But my journey in business started, many years ago. 2010 was the sort of my venture into my own business. Grew it very quickly, took it to $1 million and beyond, and basically burnt myself out and blew it up in the process. You know, and it was something that I didn't want to talk about for many years, because I was really ashamed of it. You know, I thought it was an absolute failure. And I guess to a point it was, but that was back in 2018 that all sort of blew up, 8 years into business. And the lessons that I learnt in the couple of years after that, while I was going through liquidation and bankruptcy and all the terrible things that follow a situation like that, I learned more about myself and business in those couple of years than I did in the first 8, you know. So I often talk about, a lot of people are like, how do you even survive? You know, very good question. Still trying to work that one out. But it was in short, it was through making the decision that no matter what, I would come out of it. You know, at the end of the day, I don't like to talk about business in a disrespectful way, and I mean no disrespect to it, but at the end of the day, it was only business, you know, and it's really powerful. It can give you the quality of life that you want. It can give you all the things that you hope and dream for when you first take on a business opportunity. But it can be really brutal and take so many things away from you as well. So it's really a double-edged sword when it comes to that. So, you know, my journey started back in 2010. The reason I started business was very similar to most people. You know, I thought that I could do it better. I thought that I could make more money. And there was kind of a couple of reasons. And one of them was I just wanted to build a really cool culture and place for my guys and my team to work. And we achieved that, and we made some good money along the way. And, you know, we got to a point where I was expanding I'd expanded into Victoria. We're based in Adelaide. And then I was expanding into Sydney at the same time. And I just had too many balls in the air. I was burning myself out. I mean, I went through one day where I literally worked in 3 different states in the same 24-hour period. So I started in Adelaide at 5 a.m. on a concrete pour. I got on a plane at 12 lunchtime. Flew to Melbourne, worked till mid-afternoon, flew to Sydney and worked on the Sydney International Airport night shift. So, and that wasn't uncommon for me to do that sort of crazy. I mean, that was probably one of the craziest days that I remember, but doing 24 hours and 48 hours straight, it was just, I wore it as a badge of honor, you know. And then I used to talk to people about it, and after I kind of went through everything, I was like, no, they're scars of stupidity. But at the end of the day, that's just the judgment that I placed on those what I just call lessons now. It doesn't have to be that way, but I had to go through the evolution of going through all those things, learning, facing my ego, facing my fears, all those sorts of things. And I have incredible gratitude for that journey now. But I can tell you, when I was going through that, it was just not like that at all.
Yeah. What do you feel, though, in reflection is like the 1 to 3 kind of key lessons that came out of that experience that you could summarize for everyone listening today?
Yeah. Well, the first and foremost is one of the ones that we did a topic on, a podcast on recently, and that was all around asking for help. Like I said, I had a team of people that could help me with kind of operational style business stuff, but what I didn't have was strategic advisors and a team of professionals that were detached from my business. So yeah, like the biggest lesson that I learned through all of that was, and I think you used the analogy in one of our previous shows, if you want to go slow, go alone. If you want to go fast, go as many. I hope I haven't butchered that too much. But it was very much that, like and the thing was, I went really fast. Like the first million that we did, like, was within 4 years. Kind of the standard is somewhere up near, that 8 to 10 mark, 7 to 10 mark. But I wasn't sort of measuring that, but it was quite fast. But it's like burning kindling. It was kind of like a flash in the pan. And it very literally blew up in my face. I had bad hires. I'd put people in positions that I thought it was gonna be helpful for the business. Hire friends, hire family. Probably every mistake that anybody else has made one of. Went the full hog and tried to make them all at once, and then wondered why it all burnt down. But yeah, getting help was the first thing. The second thing that I'll bang on about all the time is self-care. Like the biggest thing that let me down was I just didn't take care of myself. Like I literally prioritized everything and everybody else. Like some of those 24-hour shifts, 48-hour shifts where I pulled all-nighters, or I'd do a day shift and then I'd go onto a night shift on a different project, so they didn't know that I'd done 2 12-hour shifts. And then there was terrible food, no sleep, obviously, all those things. Like in hindsight, I look back on that and go, wow, if only I had just slowed up a little bit, but I was so determined to prove all the people wrong that said to me I wasn't going to be able to do it. And, all the naysayers. And by trying so hard to prove them wrong, I actually proved them right, because it got to a point where I couldn't do it. Like I literally broke down. I ended up literally it felt like paralysis in bed. I just couldn't get out of bed. I was so exhausted. I literally thought there was something wrong with me, and so I started looking for answers. I went to the doctors, had all these tests. And as soon as I started working on, it took me probably a good 3 or 4 years to kind of get back to the point where I could function at a level similar to where I was. And now it's just staying under capacity instead of continuously working over capacity, because all I was doing was borrowing time from the future, thinking that I could hack my way to being able to retire at 40. There's such a far more sustainable way, but I would never have learned that had I not gone through that experience,
Yeah. How soon after that did you start your now trades business? Like after you went through the liquidation and so forth, how long before you kind of got back into it?
Yeah, it was pretty well. It all happened pretty quickly. Like I was pretty lucky in that there was I'd gone through a stage the 2 years prior to that where I was restructuring the business to actually grow and expand again. But what happened was we ended up, what the final nail in the coffin for me was we ended up on a major government infrastructure project, and one of the head contractor, who shall remain nameless at this point in time for obviously legal reasons, they basically withheld $250,000 on me. And the thing was, there was contracts in place, there was purchase orders, there was a whole process. But because of there was a whole heap of things, I mismanaged the management of that account, and they mismanaged the project as well as the management of the account. And basically it just got to a point where it was like, I literally can't do anything anymore. So I was able to kind of move sideways and do other things that kept us going. And that just sort of allowed us to keep the food on the table and keep doing bits and pieces. And then obviously as people kind of knew that we were still around, we were able to pick up work and bits and pieces. So it certainly wasn't the ideal way. I wanted to sort of move into different sectors, but it was kind of the situation forced my hand. It was either that or curl up and die. And I'm from the ghetto, they say. So it was basically just come out swinging, fight my way out of it. Which it was helpful. But once again, you look back on things and go, geez, I probably would have done that differently. But whatever happened, and couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't.
No, I brought you to where you are now. I'm curious to understand a couple of questions. Number one is like, how, I guess, quickly did you get to your first $1 million a year once you restarted things back up? Is the first question.
8 months.
8 months, right?
Yeah. So the first $1 million of turnover took me 4 years, and then the second time around, I think it took me 8 months, maybe 9 months. I might be exaggerating a little bit there.
Okay.
But it was well inside of 12 months. And that was purely because I'd learnt so many lessons through that first iteration of understanding and learning business that it was just right. Okay, I know what to do here. Boom, 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 boom. And things just happen. Kind of like when Grant Cardone, I don't know if you ever saw him do it. I don't like promoting other people, but, they have that, I think it was the Undercover Millionaire or something they do over in America where they give them like $100 or something, and they got 30 days to build like $1 million plus business, and he took it to 5. I'm not quite that good yet, but one day.
And one other thing you didn't mention, like I assume and I know that your first business, by what you shared, absolutely didn't operate without you. Like you were stuck there, like doing ridiculous hours.
Yeah.
The second business that you got to $1 million in 8 months or so, how long did it take you to be in a position where you were no longer needed day in, day out of that business and it could start to operate without your ever involvement?
I think it was a similar time, probably that sort of 9 to 12 months region, but I was super focused on actually removing myself. And I think that was probably the real main difference was my mindset the second time around was like this, I can't go down that path again. Like that burn of being so exhausted and paralyzed by everything that had happened. It was like, I can't go down. Ironically, probably 6 months later is probably where the burnout really caught up with me, and it did take me down. But by that time, because I was so hell bent on not being the guy anymore, and realizing, kind of all the past experiences, what they taught me was like, I can't be the bottleneck anymore. So every time I was a bottleneck, I just went to work on trying to remove myself.
Yeah.
Which was a challenge in itself because I'd never had to do that before and nobody had ever taught me before. So that takes me back to that first point of being able to ask for help. It was like, I had to eat some humble pie and go, I don't actually know how to do this. I'm really good at doing the stuff that I do on site. I'm really good at leading the team and creating amazing cultures and leading. But when it comes to running a business, I like to think I'm pretty smart, but it just comes down to the time thing. When I focused on that, I was really good at that. When I focused on being out on site, I was really good at that. What I was terrible at is trying to do 2 or more things at once.
Yeah, well, like you said once before, like where your focus goes, your energy flows. And I guess the interesting thing is that we shared very similar journeys. Anyone that's followed me for some time know that I had a similar kind of a journey, and obviously through that process of bankruptcy, learned a lot very quickly, but it was also what enabled me to do what I do now and do what I've done. Mind you, like I never came out the back of that and was like, oh, I want to go and coach tradies. Like it wasn't the case. Like I wanted to learn how I fucked my life up so bad. you know, and went deep down the personal development hole, you know, and invested every single cent that I earned on courses and workshops and mentors and coaches, like ridiculous amounts of money and time. And then started coaching people, but I was coaching people like I was doing a diploma in psychology and NLP, in human behavior. And I was just coaching people on things like depression, anxiety, phobias, you know, sabotaging patterns, until one day.
Were you coaching, or were you friend touring at that point?
No, I was coaching. Like,
are you actually charging for it?
Yeah. From the day dot, I made a decision. I was like, I know what I'm worth if I'm on the tools.
Yeah.
Because basically after bankruptcy, I moved. I got a job initially just to provide some stability of income for me and my family. I started another kitchen company up on the side at the same time. It started it up from day one without me being involved. Basically, I was running the marketing campaigns. I had another company doing the design. I would sell them. And then I had another company doing the manufacturing installation. So I was pretty well hands-off, making a really good 35% margin. And I was like, all right, once I generate enough money, I'll leave my employment. I did that. I went into the coaching course. I was like, okay, I know what I'm getting with the time I'm putting into this kitchen business. So if I can't charge at least that, there's no point in me pursuing this career. So from day dot, I was charging people. And there's something around when you have confidence in what you say and what you do, people are attracted to that. And so while all these other people in my class were like doing pro bono work and unable to get their paid clients, I think my first year of coaching, I did $936,000 in revenue. My first year of coaching.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
right.
Nice.
And the difference between them and me was not that I was any better of a coach, although I do feel that years of my life had kind of prepared me for that work.
Yeah, but the whole been there, bought the t-shirt thing, that's got some real value.
Yeah, but it was, I think it was the experience that I'd had through the bankruptcy and where I was kind of at within myself and my mindset that allowed me to start 10 steps ahead of it. I didn't need belief. Like, I believed in the tools, and I believed that these people would be better. Their lives would be better working for me than not working with me. And so therefore, for that exchange of value, they had to pay something. And I also believe that if people paid, they paid attention. If they paid a lot, they paid a lot of attention. And the more they paid, the more they kind of did with the work. But I never was like, oh, I'm going to be a business coach, because as far as I was concerned, I was holding this hat that said I was a failed business owner.
Yeah.
But one day I woke up and realized all my clients are business owners, and they all started coming back and going, Barry, you wouldn't believe it. Like, I'm making so much more money. I'm working so many less hours. Ever since we started working together, I was like, maybe there's this link between like mindset and psychology and business. Now, mind you, this was 10, 11 years ago now. And like mindset wasn't the thing. Tony Robbins was a thing.
Yeah.
But he wasn't very big in Australia. There wasn't every man and his dog promoting psychology and coaching and mindset online. Like, there wasn't. We tried to run campaigns for my coaching business offering mindset shifts. They never worked.
No.
Right. But the moment I realized, I was like, hang on, I've got some business owners. What do they want? Oh, business owners want systems and processes. So we started running campaigns promoting, helping you systemize your business. We blew up. But it was the whole sell them what they want, give them what they need. Because the moment we brought them in, it's like, hang on, you maybe need systems and processes, but what you actually need is to revise your beliefs around how the way that you see and you operate your business. And I guess, long story short, over the last 8 years, we've gone from, my first business was divinity coaching, and then it launched into the Game Changers. And more recently, a few years ago, we spoke about, on the episode we did around niching, we dove down heavily into the niche of tradies and general contractors. You know, that was my background. It was something I knew we needed to do, but resisted. But I guess, you know, that kind of led me to where I was. But to be honest, Adam, the biggest shift in my career, although the bankruptcy was a pivotal moment, as it was for you too, biggest shift was actually almost 3 years ago now, when I felt that I needed to leave Australia. Australia wasn't my home. I needed to find somewhere else to live. And I needed to get a life back. You know, like, all I knew was business, and I was not being in congruence with what I was offering my clients. You know, we were helping our clients build businesses that work without them, and yet I was working. Now, I loved it. I wasn't stressed and burnt out. I wasn't working huge hours, but I was like, shit, I need to take myself through the process I've helped so many others through. And so I think December 2019, I kind of resigned as front of house, brought in a manager, stepped right back out of the equation. And to be honest, that was where my life blew up. You know, I built and acquired 7 other companies. I started working no more than 1 day a week. I started to learn to surf. I started to have a lot more time. And and actually be present for my kids. Like before that, I was like, how do these parents enjoy hanging out with their kids? Like all I can think about is business when I'm with my son. Like I'm not present. I want to be, but I wasn't.
Yeah, you're here, but you're not here. You're here, but your mind's elsewhere. And I think that's a common problem for a lot of business owners.
But you know, like none of that, it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to step out of my business and being on the tool, so to speak, to open up all these other companies, do this other cool stuff. It was just like, no, like this is naturally the next step. Like I've mastered my craft. I've proven that. I've brought other people in that can replicate it. Now it's time for me to master the craft that's the next level of, well, how do I now get this thing to operate without me? And so I guess, you know, to kind of catch anyone up that hasn't followed me from the beginning, that kind of brings us to here where, you know, for me, it was 12 months, maybe a little bit more ago, I had this strong intuitive feeling like, you know what? Like, I feel like my journey with Tradie Business School and the Game Changers is coming to an end. You know, like I love this business with all my heart, and it has given me and my family so much. Like it's made who I am, right? It really has.
I think, you know, it's important to also point out just how much you've given to your community and your clients and that sort of thing. You know, like before we ever met, like I'd been following you for many years and just watching the work that you were doing around this space. So, you know, I just want to acknowledge and thank you for your efforts in that, because the thing is, like I said, you know, business can be brutal, but you know, it just breaks my heart when it breaks families up and relationships because, you know, of whatever reason. But sorry, mate, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to do that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And I guess it got to a stage where I'm like, you know what, like I've given so much to my staff and to my client, to this business, and I've built something great, but it's just no longer what I'm passionate about or where I'm driving. It doesn't mean I don't love the business. It doesn't mean I've lost an interest at all in what we stand for and what we believe in. I was like, but you know what? I feel that it's time to hand this over to somebody else that's more committed and inspired to see it go to the next level. And I guess, you know, that was a process I started more than 12 months ago and led me to eventually finding you, 4, 5, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, you kind of approached
It's been a journey.
Yeah, you approached us too. I remember I was sitting in Costa Rica actually on holiday with my partner, and you jumped on a call applying for a role as a coach.
Yeah.
And I felt instant connection and a relatability in terms of who you were and what you'd been through and where you're at in your life. And having kind of exited your surveying company operationally, I said, hey, like I can offer you a role as a coach, but how do you feel about buying the business? Right. And you're like,
yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. No, it was that was definitely not where I expected that call to go. But, you know, thoroughly glad that it did go there. And I think, you know, it segues beautifully into this stage for both of us. I mean, I think watching you come full circle and the thing that I've loved about your journey is what you've talked about is the congruence of, you know, I built this, you know, you built this coaching business, the Game Changers, you niched down, you branded into Tradie Business School, like you're doing and have done everything that you teach and have talked about. And I think that's really important. That really is the, you know, bought the T-shirt, you know, been there, done that, bought the T-shirt sort of thing. And I think that, you know, where you're going with this is the conclusion of that circle where you've literally scoured yourself out of this business, you know, 12, 18 months ago, where it doesn't need you. You've got a team of coaches, you know, team of other people, you know, including me now, who's in here helping with everything else and just taking that business, bringing that passion, bringing that drive to really to do that, where you've built an asset, a saleable asset that allows you to go and do the things that you love, you know, live overseas, move around the world, spend the time being with the kids. And you know, you're really testament to that journey and the possibilities if you really put your mind to it and you say, this is what I want to do. But, you know, right back at the start, you have to make that commitment that no matter what happens, you're going to get to that point, and it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess one thing to note too, like this is my journey, you know, like it might not be your journey. It might not be anyone's journey listening or watching this. But I guess, you know, one thing from the start is that I've always spent time developing my relationship with myself, my relationship to my intuition and that internal guidance. And I got the nudge to move the business on, and I resisted it because it's kind of like giving away your first child. Like it really is. and even going through this process with you, like I've noticed so much stuff going up. It was like breaking up with a close loved one that you still loved, but you just knew you weren't destined to be together. And so I guess, for anyone
we can still be friends, Barry.
Yeah, for anyone watching or listening, this is not goodbye. Like if you want to kind of check out and see what I'm up to, please feel free to follow me on Instagram where I'm most active, Barry William Magliditi, or you can check out and subscribe on my website, Barry Magliditi, MAGLIARDITI.com, to kind of keep up to date in terms of what I'm up to and what I'm doing next. But, I guess I'm really excited. And, we went through a slow process, meeting each other and dating to ensure that you were the right fit to really take on board all the great work that myself and the team have done.
Yeah.
And the reputation, credibility we've built over years and years and years to now really see this business move to the next level. I know that you've got an amazing team around you that's in full support of you and of me in doing that, as well as our clients. And so, mate, amazing things to come. And I'm so blessed that we've had a chance to kind of cross paths in this life.
Yeah. So, and likewise, mate, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason, even if you don't know what that reason is in a job interview.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I hope you enjoyed this episode and did watch to the end. And this is not goodbye. You'll still see me pop in from episodes from time to time. But by all means, feel free to connect in and stay in touch. And equally, I would love you to continue to support Adam and the vision of TBS, all of our amazing clients. All of our staff. And if you are a trades business owner that's wanting to grow or maybe achieve something like I have, or maybe better results than what you are, like this shit works. Like we're not snake oil salesmen. Like I've been in the game for a long time. Adam shared his story as well. My team, my clients, like we know what we're doing. And if we can help you, we will absolutely help. If we can't, we'll let you know. Like this is not a money play for us. This is how can we make the world a better place and provide that opportunity to families so they don't go through what you went through, what I went through, and what many business owners go through in broken relationships and bankruptcy.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful place to talk to people from. But there's no prescription here. Like you said, it doesn't have to. You don't have to go to the point where you scale yourself out of the business. I've got no intention of going anywhere. Like I love this stuff, and it's not where I'm at. It's like I scaled myself out of the trade business so I could actually move into the coaching space. But I can see myself being around this space for decades to come. So it doesn't have to be from here to here. It can be anywhere. But I think getting yourself to a point where you have choices in your business is really powerful. And that's what I think we both hope for everybody that comes on the journey with us.
Absolutely. Mate, thank you so much for your friendship, for everything you bring to this venture moving forward. And equally too, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you guys that have supported us through listening in, through your likes, through your comments, through your shares, through your contribution to creating this community. And I wish that each and every one of you guys can achieve far more beyond what you or your families ever imagined.
Oh, that's beautiful, mate. And congratulations on your retirement.
I've been retired for years. I'm going to get back in and do something.
No, mate. It's been really wonderful working with you on this project, mate. And I'm really excited. I'll be certainly watching with keen eyes and hopefully we get to do some more cool stuff in the future together. Can't wait for that.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.